tornado going in the background.
Okay, swag. We're trying another new setup. So if our audio quality sucks, it's not our fault.
There's also a tornado in the background.
Yes, we're on tornado watch, sort of. So bear with us. Anyway, so we've all pulled an all-nighter before, or stayed up a little too late before having to wake up early. I am currently suffering the consequences of those actions. I am exhausted. It's been a very long day. But how important is sleep really? And how does losing it affect how we function? I feel like I could answer that, but today we're talking about Maria Manasseina, also known as Marie von Manassein. She's Russian, and I know I'm butchering this, but... And another version of her name would be Marie de Manaceine, again, so like, whatever. Anyway, a Russian doctor who was a pioneer in biochemistry and experimental somnology in the second half of the 19th century.
What is somnology?
Somnology is the study of sleep.
I had a feeling.
Yes.
I had a feeling. Intro. So, Maria Manasseina was born in Korkanova in, oh my god, you hate me.
Korkanova.
Korkanova in 1841. Little is known about her early life, but we do know that she's the daughter of a well-known historian and archaeologist, Professor Mikhail Andreevich Korkanov. Was he like part of the Korkanova family?
If I'm being honest, I have no idea.
That seems like highly unlikely. That's just a coincidence.
I don't know. I was struggling to find pretty much anything on her early life.
Interesting.
So up to speculation, or better research tactics than my sleep-deprived brain. So...
Well, Maria was one of the first women in the Russian Empire and probably like most of Europe, honestly, to graduate in medicine. She was first awarded a special certification that certification. We're all sleep deprived today. That authorized her as a female doctor before she was later awarded the official medicine degree certification. Her major contribution to neuroscience was incredibly influential work on sleep deprivation that she would travel all around Europe to spread the results of her studies. She published articles and books in French, English, and German, as well as Russian, obviously. So, let's get into her findings.
Okay, so in 1870 to 1871, Maria spent several months at the Polytechnic Institute in Vienna, working with Julius Wessner, okay, whatever. With this German guy, probably German anyway, where she studied the process of alcoholic fermentation. So we're talking about biochemistry first before we get into sleep deprivation.
Gotcha.
Before you're like, why are we talking about fermentation? That makes no sense. Anyway, so while she was there, she made the discovery that the process of fermentation is due to very specific components that can be isolated from yeast cells. She called them unorganized enzymes, which I thought was funny. But the components will give rise to fermentation rather than just the living yeast by itself. So like a piece of it versus the whole organism will equal fermentation. These results confirmed the quote-unquote chemical hypothesis of fermentation proposed by Claude Bernard and Justus Liebig, rather than Mr. Louis Pasteur and his physiological hypothesis.
AKA pasteurization.
Big name in micro. Yeah, but it took about more than 25 years for the German chemist Edward Buchner to replicate these results. Even though he was aware of Maria's work, he did not cite or credit her. She wrote 2 letters in German to scientific journals. One of them was a German one, and the other was a Russian journal titled Le Physiologiste Russe, in order to be recognized of her priority in this discovery. However, it didn't change anything, and they were like,
You're irrelevant.
We're gonna go with this guy. He's more recent, I guess. But yeah, so this guy, Mr. Buchner, got the Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize in 1907.
That's
for
crazy.
The exact same discovery. Like, it's not like he even did anything to elaborate on it or whatever. Like, he just didn't credit her, redid it, maybe yapped more about it.
What the
But yeah, so her name was completely forgotten.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, sorry, she was forgotten. My apologies. As she was forgotten, I forgot to speak. Because sleep deprivation. Deprivation?
We're getting there.
Sorry. Okay. So, while Maria was still a student, she met and married one of the other students, Mr. Panoptiki. Mr. P. But together they participated in, oh my god, Narondiki revolutionary cycles. The Narondiki movement was a kind of socialism built upon economically autonomous entities. Several towns were united to create a kind of federation to substitute the state. For participating, Maria's husband was arrested and died shortly after, although we don't really know how he died and how it was related, but he did die. Yeah. So then she remarried in 1865 to, good God, Vyacheslav Arkansentovich Masinin. Vam! She remarried Vam. And she left to work with Professor Ivan Romanovich Tarkanov. That one is Ert.
This is good.
That one is Ert. And then she left her husband for him. So yeah, she really slept. She was trying to get that A. She slept with the teacher to get that grade.
She was no longer a student at this point. She was just working with bro. She was like, I think I like you better than my husband.
She still wanted an A. A for effort.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
She never legally divorced Manassein, so she was like technically still married to him and just like big time cheating. We support women's rights and women's rights.
I think they separated, but they didn't divorce. I don't think she was just going around like. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, we're supporting
women's rights and women's wrongs.
Benefit of the doubt.
And then Maria had a daughter named Tatiana, but we don't know who the father was. Totally could have been like either of them, and we just didn't have like documentation. Like she knew. Wait, did she know?
Yeah, she knew. We just don't know.
Oh, I see.
I like could not find like who the dad was, but like it didn't seem like it was a spectacle or anything like that. Like she knew who the dad was. I just couldn't find record of it.
Yeah.
Because nobody cares about her.
Her daughter?
No, like this lady.
Oh, yes,
They're
right.
like, oh, she like did something, I guess.
Yeah.
But like we only figured this out like
I feel like they probably just thought
her
that she was like the village weirdo.
Probably. Always in the lab and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's go back to when she was working with Ivan Romanovich Tarka. Oh god.
Yeah, you try it now, buddy.
That was funny. Tarkanov. So this is her most latest interest.
Boothang.
Yeah, Boothang. So Tarkanov was interested in sleep problems.
And interested in her.
She was also interested in sleep problems, and together they
They did a lot of sleeping and problems.
They also brought this work into the lab where they studied
They were sleeping in the lab?
No, but they did studies on sleep deprivation. This is when we're actually getting scientific.
Okay.
But this is also where it gets a little sad. They did the sleep deprivation with puppies. And so at this time, scientific studies were often involved with the misuse of animals in research, and it was very common and unfortunately widespread. Like everybody was doing it, and it was very normal, even though it's like, how could you do that?
Okay, wait, side note?
Yeah.
You know how like makeup products, it's like no animal testing?
I thought they were just putting the makeup on the animals.
I thought so too. I thought they were like giving like bunnies like cute little eyelashes and putting little blush on them.
I was like, why can't they be like slay? No, it's not what that means.
Yeah. That's what I thought animal testing was.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
It wasn't that.
Yeah, so since this time, you know, there have been immense progress to reevaluate the use of animals in studies. Animal research is now assessed by ethical committees, and part of their job considers these points known as the 3 R's.
Did you take this from our training at work?
No, I actually had to do this when I was in Chapman's lab because we worked with like chickens and
yeah.
mice and stuff.
Interesting. I straight up thought you took this from like our onboarding training.
No, but dude, reading it in onboarding training, I was like, oh my god, like, I know this.
I guess college was worth something.
Yeah, but so the 3 R's are replacing animals with other means whenever possible, reducing the number of animals, and refining the experimental procedures to minimize animal pain, suffering, and distress, and or lasting harm.
You've heard of reduce, reuse, recycle. I give you replace, reduce, refine.
Yes. Beautiful. So anyway, back to Maria. You might not really love Maria for this, but
No.
so she used about 10 puppies that were in between 2 to 4 months, and they were still fed by their mother and kept with like every care, except for the fact they were forced into a total insomnia by keeping them constantly active.
Okay,
so they
I'm
were not
supporting women's wrongs right now.
Yeah, they were not allowed to sleep. The total sleep deprivation was fatal after 4 to 5 days, and they could not be rescued when brought to this point of severe sleep deprivation.
So, for comparison, dogs could be kept in complete starvation for 20 to 25 days and then still be rescued by Food Administration after this time. Maria's work changed the course of all future sleep studies that followed hers. In 1898, 3 Italian investigators, Lambero Dotti, Giulio Tarazzi, and Cesare Agostoni, performed the exact same experiment of sleep deprivation in dogs. Although they did broaden the findings with detailed anatomical and histopathological analysis of the dog brains. In 1896, 2 American psychologists, George T.V. Patrick and J. Allen Gilbert, who were clearly inspired by Maria's work, performed the first ever study of sleep deprivation in humans. From researching it, it does not seem like they provided her with any credit. They didn't cite her. They didn't say anything about her whatsoever, and she was just forgotten.
Yes. But so her investigation was the first one to first show that there were bodily changes that were caused because of a lack of sleep. The animal's body temperatures decreased between 4 to 6 Celsius, suggesting that the homeostatic control of the body was altered. The red blood cell count was reduced significantly, which suggested damage to the immune system, and the brain showed injuries such as hemorrhages, impaired blood vessels, and damage to the myelin that supports communication between neurons. So this work is fundamental to understanding the consequences of lack of sleep and to developing treatments for sleep disorders.
So until Maria's discovery, the nervous system was not considered all that important in terms of sleep. However, the description of the bodily changes caused by lack of sleep really focused on what it was doing to the brain. As of now, sleep is studied from the perspective of neuroscience, and the nervous circuits mediating sleep are generally more understood now. The study additionally showed that older animals were impacted less by lack of sleep for longer in comparison to younger animals. This hinted at the link between sleep and development, which has been noted more recently over the last few decades.
So, not only was she a prolific scientist, she was also a writer. She wrote several papers, books, articles on physiology, hygiene, and psychology. One of her books, which was titled Sleep as 1/3 of Human Life, Its Physiology, Pathology, Hygiene, and Psychology, was published in English in the year 1897, which was the expanded version of her original Russian edition. It was considered basically the sleep encyclopedia at that time. If you were interested in learning about sleep deprivation, you go pull out her book.
Yeah.
It was translated in various languages and distributed in most of the European countries. In the book, Maria reviews the state-of-the-art somnology of the era, reporting the results of her own experiments, as well as pretty much everyone else's. It was like a big dictionary of sleep, in animal models as well as human subjects. So in analysis of her own experiments, she concludes that sleep is as necessary as nutrition and reconstitution of the cerebral tissue.
She also, she also proposed that sleep in the brain is not just lack of neural activity as we believed it was at the time, but instead is a different kind of brain activity that happens what happens when the brain's awake. Her theory that the brain remains active while the subject sleeps was confirmed in 1929 by Hans Berger electroencephalography. Why can I pronounce that, but I can't pronounce the Russian words?
Because it's Russian.
Bruh.
It's a lot of consonants.
But by the electroencephalography recordings, which found electrical activity in the sleeping brain. The differences between how the brain behaves when awake and asleep have led to the classification of the sleep stages, such as REM.
So around the 1890s, roughly, Maria gave lectures on topics that were related to psychology, brain physiology, and pedagogy in the auditoriums in the center of St. Petersburg.
What is pedagogy?
I honestly don't remember. I think it has something to do with, like, language and linguistics.
I know that is either foot or child, and gogi is speak.
Yeah, it's the method and practice of teaching, especially in an academic subject or theoretical concept. So it's like teaching the theories.
I see.
But yeah,
child speak. Sorry.
I mean, more or less, yeah. But so her lectures were always packed. As she grew older, her political views did kind of transition from like liberal and revolutionary towards more of like a conservative leaning. It's not really known if she embraced this view for convenience, because at like this time in her life, she was a single woman in Tsarist Russia, and that would mean very limited freedoms of working, engaging in public activities, and traveling without the protection of the Tsarist family. Or if her views really did change, we're not really sure. However, benefits to like being more conservative did really help her, as the Tsar Alexander III gave her a lifelong pension, and his son, Tsar Nikolai II, gave her a bonus of 10,000 rubles, which was like a ridiculous amount of money for that time, and she was like pretty much chilling for the rest of her life because of that.
So Maria passed away in St. Petersburg on March 17th, 1903. Oh my god, is that one day from tomorrow?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Maria is now considered an expert in neuroscience in the field of physiological chemistry and a pioneer in somnology and biochemistry. Her works were published in several languages under different names. Maria de Manaceine, Manassein, Maria Manasseina, Maria von Manassein, Maria. But she was often referred to as a male doctor simply due to assumption. Like, people were just like, oh, Dr. Manassein, Mr. Manassein, Mrs. Manassein. Unless she preferred Ms. because she was like sleeping with her, or maybe she just liked Maria. I feel like she would have just liked Maria, Dr.
Probably,
Maria.
yeah. It seems like she didn't really care about her last name, considering that she like
Didn't care about the man.
Yeah.
Regardless, despite her outstanding contributions in the last 10 years, her name has not been cited more than 100 times. She states this about her studies and sleep. It is necessary to study seriously and fundamentally this part of life, for on that study depends the solution of other essential questions of our existence. She was a pioneer not only in her scientific findings, but additionally in doing all that she could to bring these findings to people and others in the research community.
Okay, now that we're at the end of our mini-sode, I'm gonna take a nap.
Good night.
Bye!